5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. I'm sure the sound's going to be alright. Let's get some more light here. Better turn off the echo. Consistency is the key to being successful regardless of what your health and fitness goals are. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope you're ready and looking forward to that conversation. I know I am. Welcome to your friend Toby's podcast, where we talk about health, fitness, and longevity through the lens of my personal experience, the things that I'm working on at 41 to stay fit, healthy, competent, and capable for living an adventurous life. Not only now, but also in the future, and not only the direct future, but we're talking about 20, 30, 40 years down the line. I'd like to think that I'm not even halfway yet, and because I'm not even halfway yet, there's a lot of room to grow and learn in my health and fitness, barring any tragedies befalling me. So if that's something you're interested in, we talk about sleep, we talk about food, we talk about movement, we talk about connection, we talk about hobbies, we talk about motivation, and we reflect in this podcast. YouTube Punk, my friend, hey, thanks for dropping by. I'm happy you find the time to hang out with me this morning. How's everything in Texas? Has anything changed in the last 7 minutes? Let me know. Let me know what you're up to, because we didn't really have a chance to chat about what you were doing on the other stream. Now we're vertical, I think. Right? It's getting too hot in Texas. That is actually true. It is probably getting into good summertime temperatures there. And so, but I get them confused all the time as well. Don't worry about it. I can remember that Texas heat. That were 2 very good summers that I spent there, but boy, was it hot. So you're trying to stay in the shade, drink a lot of water, and keep it cool. That's nice. For everyone else who's watching, if you're interested in the conversation about health, fitness, and longevity, and my experience, you go ahead, hit like on the stream. Helps people find the stream. Stick around for a minute or two to actually hear what we're talking about, so we can actually have the conversation. You go ahead. Life is always more important than anything else that you're doing. Check out my channel, and after hitting like and you enjoyed the content and you'd like to see more, go ahead and subscribe and check out any of the other content I've made. I think the easiest way to just start is to just start listening to the podcast. And maybe if you want to get into some movement, we can talk about looking at some of my training videos, or starting to join the live streams in the morning, not to follow along with the workout, even though you're more than welcome to, but to just do your own thing at the time that I am waking up and doing mine, if that's something you're interested in. Anyway, I always have to say hit like and subscribe at the top of the video before we go into the content. We're going to talk about today's training. We're going to talk about staying motivated, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks, if that's all right with you. And if there's anything you want to ask me in the meantime, drop by in the chat, say hey, and let me know what's going on, all right? And we can talk about many different topics. Happy to answer your questions if you're dropping by and listening in. Today's training was mobility, and to my mobility I've added a couple of new exercises because I visited the physiotherapist yesterday, and we are still trying to improve the range of motion you can see here. This shoulder straight up, not much of an issue. Let's see if there's been any improvement. Oh, look, that end range is a lot better, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that she massaged some stretch into the shoulder blade more than that we've actually fixed the problem. But it's been a persistent problem for about 20 years. I don't expect it to be resolved in 1 month of training. I'd expect this to take at least 6 to 9 months, maybe even a year for the fascia to realign. But that's the amount of time it can take for our bodies to adapt if we provide the right stimulus. And I think there's an insight there, right? Why do I do those kinds of trainings? Why do I do strength? Why do I do strength conditioning? Why do I do endurance? Why do I do HIIT? Why do I do mobility? It is because by being consistent over time, changes happen in my body, and I maintain those changes. Changes occur in my body, and those changes will overall, hopefully, make me healthier and fitter and more capable for living. And I think the evidence is on my side, right? Activity within reason is a good driver of health. Nutrition that is thought out and that is wholesome and healthy is a good driver of health. Proper sleep in terms of quality and quantity is a good driver of health. So adding a mobility routine to the daily workouts in order to have a day off between workouts but still do something, but also to improve the quality of movement that I experience throughout life is obviously going to be incredibly helpful. So worth noting, and I have a mobility routine, but there are tons of mobility routines out there. Find the one that works for you. That's the most important, because health and fitness is incredibly personal, and I'll always keep saying that. So let's talk about consistency and showing up and doing the work, because that seems to be one of the hardest things to do. In a very broad sense, right? There are good and bad fitness programs, there are good and bad nutrition programs. And by good, I mean ones that work in the short and long term. By bad, I mean ones that might seem to work but are actually damaging our health. There is good and bad sleep advice out there. But in a broad sense, if you want to make a change, right? Change, not improvement. Change in your daily routine, your habits, and your current state of health, fitness. Doing anything differently is going to change that baseline, right? But it can be worse or better, okay? But that's why I don't focus on change, I focus on improvement, on doing better today than I did yesterday. And to show improvement, we need to be very selective about the things that we do, but in a very broad sense, even there, any of the good programs will probably lead to improvement. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, but none of them are going to show any kind of improvement in 24 hours, right? None of them are going to show any kind of improvement in 7 days. You don't go to the gym one day for 12 hours and then expect to be fit and healthy for the rest of the year, right? You don't run 10 kilometers once and then expect to be conditioned for the rest of the year. What you want to do is show up regularly, consistently over time. You lift weights 30 minutes every other day for a year. You run 30 minutes every other day for a year. You are going to get fitter, healthier, stronger, more muscles, the results you want. And we all know this. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. I'm not telling myself anything that I don't know. But it is so difficult to actually do, isn't it? And that's a challenge we need to overcome. The thing is, and I'll keep coming back to this, you already have a routine. I already have a routine. There's a moment that I wake up, I start to do things. There's a moment that I go to sleep, I stop doing things. All of those things that I do are unconscious habits. Yeah. All of those things that I do throughout the day, I have picked up and learned along the way over the course of my life. All of the things that I do are not necessarily conscious choices aligned with my long-term health and fitness goals. And that's where there's room to move, by understanding that we already have a routine and by questioning whether that routine is purposeful and how much of a hand we've actually had in defining and determining that routine for ourselves. Right now, I've taken charge of my sleep routine. I've taken charge of the first 2 hours of my morning. I have a pretty good grasp of my food habits throughout the day, and I have a pretty good grasp of my distraction habits at the end of the day. I've traded in TV for reading, reading bedtime stories, but also reading myself and going to sleep early so that I maximize my sleep, and the time that I don't spend watching TV, I spend being active in the morning. The habits that I'm still struggling with are phone usage, right? Scrolling, okay? Occasional, even though it's becoming less frequent, but occasional snacking of entire sleeves of cookies, bags of crisps, just candy, right? But the bigger sense of everything that I'm doing in terms of my health, fitness, and longevity, I have developed and put in place a lot of habits that are actually now helping me stay fit and healthy for life. But it's taken years of effort, and we need to start somewhere. We need to start somewhere, and we need to be consistent in it over time. And I think it helps to understand that whether we take control of it or not, we have habits and routines and systems that get us to the current state of health that we're in. And that's where there's power to change. But the power to change doesn't lie in the changes that we make for one day. The power of change lies in taking small things like the glass of water, like the stairs, like calling that friend once a week, or calling a couple of friends once a week for a chat, by having an apple before a meal, or a piece of fruit before a meal, 20 minutes before a meal, by taking that 5-minute extra walk in the morning for the commute or on the way back, right? Not by doing those things once, but by making those a consistent pattern in our lives. Not 365 days a year, but let's aim for 330, all right? Give ourselves some slack in life as well. And that consistency, right, comes from realizing that if we set up routines, what we don't have in the house for breakfast, we can't eat, right? We have to eat what's there. What we buy in the grocery store becomes what we have available to eat. By not having subscriptions to certain apps, services, we don't use them. So we're forced to do something else, okay? By realizing how much control we have and how we can control that environment, we can become more consistent over time. But the key is taking all these little habits and making them consistent over time, and then on those little habits, building bigger habits. Don't change all of your breakfast in one go. Don't change your entire meal planning for the week in one go. Make small adjustments add water, add some vegetables, take away something else, take away the pre-made sauces, make your own low-calorie dressing, for example, for salad. Learn how to bake things in the oven. Challenge your taste buds to eat food with less salt and less sugar in them over time. All those kinds of little things are things that we can try, and it's the little things that stick that make the difference. Okay? But being consistent over time, showing up and doing the work, whether that is for workout, for sleep, for food, for friendship, for hobbies, that is where we have the most agency and power to make a difference in our long-term health and fitness. Anyway, that's all I have for you this morning about being consistent in motivation. I hope that was useful. YouTube Punk, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I'm enjoying a fine cup of coffee. I'm going to strap on the 10 kilo vest. I'm going to go out for my morning walk. I was going to hang out with you all this morning. Remember to hit like, subscribe, check out my channel. I am trying to hit 3,000 minutes in watch time. If you want to help out, pick 1 or 2 videos, watch 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes, let them play through the entire video. That would be most helpful and help me get to that 3,000 minute of watch time. I would really appreciate that. We're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today that's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. Remember that. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. There are enough people who want to put us down, so we'll lift ourselves up. Okay? And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. YouTube Punk, I hope everything's okay with the wifey at home. I hope you're going to be well, sleep well, and I'll see you on the next stream. And remember, friends, if you're watching, and I can see that some of you are watching, subscribe.